Welcome to Dawn of a Story. This is more than a podcast. It's a place where we speak the truth, tell the stories that shape us, and honor the moments that made us who we are. I created the space because I believe storytelling is how we connect, how we heal, and how we remember who we are. Some stories are still being written. Some are full of laughter. Some have changed everything, but all of them matter. Whether it's my story or one of my guests, my hope is that you hear something that resonates, that reminds you that you are not alone and encourages you to tell your story too. So settle in because every story starts somewhere, and this one starts now. Hi, I'm Dawn Pascal, and this is Dawn of a Story. Before I ask anyone else to tell their story on this podcast, I want to start with mine. Because this podcast was born from something my mom used to say to me every single day after school, why don't you tell mommy a story? That one question changed everything. When I think back to being 5 years old, I could still feel her presence, her curiosity, and that big open space she gave me to fill with words. At first, my stories were just simple play-by-plays of what happened in school, what I ate, what I saw, but something shifted over time. She didn't just listen, she encouraged me. She'd ask questions, pull out more detail, and let me wander into imagination. And in doing that, without ever realizing, she gave me a gift I would carry my whole life, the gift of storytelling. Storytelling became my way of understanding the world, processing pain, and connecting to people. And honestly, I've never stopped telling stories. If you've ever spent more than 5 minutes with me, you've probably heard me say, well, you know I've got a story, because I always do. Even when I started my bakery, Home Sweet Home, I wasn't just baking, I was telling stories through food. I created recipes based on emotion. I poured my experiences into every batch of muffins, every layer of cake. That was my way of saying something without needing words. I built a brand from my story, and in turn it helped others tell theirs, sometimes without even knowing it. But here's the truth. I didn't always know what my story really was. There were years when I felt disconnected from it, like I was performing a version of myself that didn't fit anymore. And then something shifted, and it wasn't subtle. I had built a life that looked like success from the outside. My business was thriving, I had momentum, recognition, even stability. But then it all began to unravel. Within a short span, I lost both my parents, my first dog, Chloe, and eventually the business I had poured my soul into. I felt like I had been pushed back to the beginning, but without the same fire I started with. In the silence that followed, I was left with my grief, my memories, and a big question. Now what? And then something else shifted, not in my circumstances, but in me. I realized that even though I had lost so much, the part of me that could begin again was still there. You know that moment when you wake up and you just know you're meant to do something different? Not because it's logical or perfectly planned, but because your spirit cannot not do it anymore? That's how this podcast happened. I started listening more closely to what I was saying in conversations. I started noticing how often my stories were met with, wow, thank you for saying that, or I felt that same way too. And I realized my story isn't just mine, it's a bridge, and yours is too. So I created Dawn of a Story as a space to honor those bridges, a place for truth, humor, grief, becoming, and belonging. It isn't about being perfect. It isn't about having it all figured out. It's about being real. It's about sitting in the in-between moments and saying, this matters. I matter. You matter. Over the coming weeks, I will be sitting down with people I admire, people I love, people who have lived and lost and laughed through it all. Some stories will be raw. Some will be funny. Some will make you feel like someone finally said that thing you've been trying to name for years. And maybe your story is still being written. That's okay too. I believe stories are medicine. They remind us who we are, who we've been, and who we are still becoming. They hold parts of us we thought no one could see. And when we share them, something powerful happens. We make each other braver. So if you're here, thank you. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being open. Thank you for starting this journey with me. And if something you hear makes you pause, makes you feel seen, makes you laugh, send it to a friend. Talk about it. Let the story ripple. Because this is the beginning of something real. This is Dawn of a Story.